Good afternoon. It is Wednesday the 31st of March and I am back out in the reading nook for one last unboxing on this warm, bright and sunny day. I've got a cup of tea and this box to finish delving into. There's a load of packing chips, so I'm just going to clear that first. I don't want to spill those anywhere. So I've already delved into this box once, and I have pulled out, and just grab the last of the packing chips, and I have pulled out basically Montbouge Ferratory, which is a community content driven book of content for the Doom Metal retro clone. I'm looking forward to reviewing that in due course. So that's published by Free League Publishing, so obviously the next thing, this has also got to be from Free League, and here we go. It is this, the Symbaroum Starter Set, treasure hunts in Davokar. All you need to start exploring the wondrous world of Symbaroum, or Symbaroum. Symbaroum is a Dark Ages role-playing game set in basically in or around the Davokar forest, being explored by treasure hunters and so on, looking for the remains and relics of an ancient kingdom. Adjacent to an area which has been settled by basically settled by a kingdom that suffered a great war against the Dark Lords and had to flee over the mountains, and this is the starter set for that role-playing game. I've reviewed nearly all of the books for Symbaroum so far. I think I've got the Adventure Book 4, which collects basically a couple of adventures, and all of the adventures have been good. There's a good campaign running for it as well, but it's never had a starter set, and one of the things I do appreciate about any role-playing game is a good starter set for it, because it is what it should do. It should basically introduce the potential players to role-playing, to the setting and the mechanics, and provide them with the means to explore it with a good adventure. So, Free League Publishing, who've been kind enough to send me this, have already done a great starter set, which I have unboxed and reviewed for the Aliens role-playing game. But at last, there is one for Symbaroum as well. Okay, take the plastic off, and let's see what we've got inside. So let's just go on. We've done a moment. So essentially, the Ashuriani dynasty was as short-lived as it was cruel, known for its insight into the light and the darkness. Key to their power was an artifact known as the Rod of Light and Darkness. Its touch could breathe life into dead things or steal it away from that which lived. And guess what? The Rod's current whereabouts have been revealed. To students of the Eternal Night, there's an opportunity cannot be ignored. Its final resting place is said to be Lafarda's Tower, situated in the area known to treasure hunters as the Blasted Heath, where lightning rain burns flesh and shatters dreams. Enter the wondrous world of Symbaroum. This starter set for Symbaroum role-playing game is specifically designed to let you and your friends experience treasure hunts and expeditions in the dark and mysterious forest of Davokar, including 2 ready-made adventure sites for you to explore. It also contains guidelines for creating your own treasure hunt adventures. Of course, our hope is that your initial excursion into Davokar will leave you curious to know more about the game world, its forest cultures, and its long, dark history. So what we've got here is a 64-page rulebook introducing the world's easy-to-learn and highly flexible rule set, along with its mysterious and dark game world. 64-page adventure compendium, including 2 adventure locations for your players to explore, and rules for designing adventures of your own. Symbaroum Bright Davokar dice with all the dice you need for combat, problem solving and social challenges. Double-sided map with one side depicting the game setting at large and the other the treasure hunter's town of Thistlehold. Double-sided map showing the main locations of the 2 pre-made adventure landscapes meant to be used at the gaming table. 6 character sheets describing 5 ready-made player characters and 1 mystical companion for you to play. So let's see what's inside. Okay, and inside the deep box you have that. Okay, so that's the dice, nice green dice. Catalogue, and you're delving into the characters first, and these are on glossy paper. We have human Ambrian Knight and Witch Hunter, and I apologise for that if you can hear the ice cream van. That's our friendly local ice cream vendor, Andrew. Treasure Hunter, yes, I know him by name. And basically a theurg, essentially a cleric, and an ogre ritualist wizard, and a mystical being bodyguard. Which will be interesting to find out what that is. So these, you've got everything you need to play on here, full stats, explanation of the abilities, and so on. And then we get into below that we have a map of Thistlehold, and on the back a map of the Davokar forest. And one of the things about the setting. Thistlehold is a relatively new settlement that has grown up about the concept of treasure hunting, and when you need permission to go into the forest and conduct treasure hunts, and get a guide, a license, and so on, and abide by the terms of the license to actually go and explore and come back with relics, and there will people who will actually buy relics from you. So it's almost like prospecting. You are prospecting for relics. Below that, you have a map of the 2 adventure sites. So it's sort of general one of the forest with the actual location there, and then the tower itself. Then we've got the first of 2 books. I'll pull those both out. So the first one is the starter rules. Explains everything you need to play. Or the possibility, obviously, if you've got the core rules, what you can do, if you're looking for something to play, then easily you could use those, grab this and play the scenario, basically adventure locations described in the book. So, there's obviously, although this is designed to introduce people to role-playing games and to Symbaroum particularly, there's nothing to stop an existing group of from using it as part of their campaign. So automatically you should sign up, and what you get is basically welcome to Symbaroum, an example of play, and an example of the great artwork you'll find in Symbaroum. It's really fantastic, and it's the same artist. Was the same artist that went on to work on the Aliens role-playing game. It's dark, oppressive, and really good. So a good description of the setting, just over a few pages. Again, great artwork. I mean, a lot of this artwork is seen in previous books, and that's fine. They're using it effectively, and so essentially you've got an explanation of the setting, and then one of the points about it, like I said before, is the explorer's license and how that works, which you need to go on treasure hunts, and that costs money. So on, and it's dealing with, then you've got the player characters. You've got 5 ready-made player characters. Go and you explain how they are made up. Okay, and so on. So here we are with that. And again, there's someone with an angle grinder. If you can hear that, I do apologise. But I've got this far. I'm not going to stop now. So an explanation of their abilities, because it's not a game with skill, but as skills in the traditional sense, but rather abilities like acrobatics or beast law, man at arms, medicus, mystical power, and the like, shield fighter, and these come in 3 steps, essentially, which take you from essentially from novice to adept to master. Now, deliberately, they have excluded the master level, so if you want that, you'll need the core rulebook, and that's fine, because essentially this isn't meant to replace the core rules, it's meant to basically introduce them, so and then encourage you to go and, if you've enjoyed it, to go and look at the core rules. So then we go on to races and traits. It does the same kind of thing, explaining who and what they are: goblins, ogres, humans, and so on. Traditions and powers like theurgy. Essentially, it's basically the teachings of the mystical force that radiates from the sun and burns at the heart of the human spirit. And so on, the mystical powers. We go on to the combat rules. The other thing to bear in mind with a game like Symbaroum is that the referee doesn't roll the dice. Basically, the players are reacting or acting against, or their characters are reacting against what the threat they face. So they always roll the dice. So they roll to hit, but they also roll to avoid being hit. So it's player facing that way. Quick introduction of the rules, like social challenges, and an important aspect is shadow and corruption. So a lot of basically magic is a corrupting force, and all beings and objects in the world are surrounded by magic, basically by mystical shadows, and basically characters essentially can gain corruption, whether that's basically environmental or overusing a relic and so on, and every character and creature has a shadow, and so a creature of nature might have a green, red or white shadow, basically, or other bright primary colours. A civilized might have gold, copper, silver or metallic shade. Corrupted would have black and purple, and essentially the black and purple tones essentially would indicate that if you were able to look at someone's shadow and saw it had black or purple tinges, it would indicate signs of corruption. And it's possible to basically gain points, temporary corruption, which you can slough off at some point, but sometimes it's permanent and that stains you. Lastly, you've got a section of equipment and so on, and the explanation of the pre-made characters. So if I've got you, one of the things I would say, you've got a description of the pre-made characters with their backgrounds. So Hador, Halia, the witch hunter, there. Somehow you basically, the GM will have to take that information and give it to the player who is role-playing that character, and that's going to take a little bit more effort. It's not just readily available for the player, but again, you know, that could have been better handled, and also you've got an explanation of the character sheet there. So that's the starter rules. Next, book 2 is setting and adventures, and in that, essentially, this comes with an introduction and explains the role of the game master, what to do before the session, during the session, and after the session. So simple, basically, just simple descriptions, but good advice nevertheless. Before we get into description of Thistlehold itself, example, notably the great inn that sits atop the tree in the centre of the town. Quick guide to the map. And all of this has been seen elsewhere in previous supplements, but that's fine. Basically, the game is several years old. It's been quite well developed, and then but I mean, obviously, it's basically represented here for the purposes of the starter set. So we've gone to expeditions in Davokar, which features introductory guidelines on how to handle travel and excavations in the forest of Davokar, and how that's handled. I've gone with a more detailed map there. Handling treasure, monstrous adversaries as well, abominations, and Blightborn, and things that are affected by the corruption that might be found in the forest. Beasts, Blightborns, and so on. Like a Blightborn elk depicted there. So yeah, still can't escape the ice cream truck, ice cream van. And then we get on to cultural beings, treasure hunters, clan warriors, because you've got several different backgrounds. So you could be an Ambrian, which is basically from the nation that fled and resettled the area. You could be barbarian, who's lived alongside the forests and agreed not to go into them. You can be goblins or ogres, and there are other options as well. The interesting thing is that the elves themselves are not described a little bit mysterious. They're long-lived, but they live through the four seasons. So spring, summer, autumn, winter, and each type of elf is different. And then we get into the Symbaroum adventure location where darkness dwells, basically a burial site, and catacombs to explore, and hopefully find something worth bringing back. And there's actually a description of an artifact in there, and we have not various non-player characters that we might encounter. And then the second adventure location is the Gathering Storm. Just the same kind of thing, but built up around basically the tower, which is shown on the earlier map. And lastly, a description of essentially player non-PCs, and then developments, so on, that might follow from the playthrough of both adventures. So, and last, of course, you've got a bit of advertising, so that's fine. Okay, there we go. So, the advertising, basically one of the bundle settings, available to Symbaroum, where you can actually get quite a lot of content, books, and campaigns, and just a bit of advertising for Free League. So that's the second adventures book of the content for the starter set. I think this is quite a nice package if you haven't got into the setting itself, but if you have, then of course you're probably going to want this for the adventures, the maps, so on. They're always useful. Just basically pack these away. The dice. And it all goes into this nice deep box where, you know, you've still got room for your notes, and even your own copies of the character sheets and so on. So that's the Treasure Hunts in Davokar, the new starter set from Symbaroum. I'm looking forward to reviewing this. I've enjoyed all of the Symbaroum books that I've read and reviewed to date so far. Again, I want to thank Free League Publishing for sending me this to review. I appreciate their faith in me, and I enjoy all of the books they do publish. So in the meantime, if you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook, please click the like button down below. If you've got any comments or feedback, I take the time to read those and respond as I can. And if you want to hear more about other unboxings that I post, then please do click on the subscribe button. Again, thanks for watching, and I will be back soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.